Bonjour, familia mia. Captain Cut here with welcome. Welcome on board to another captivating episode of Just Siri. The ladies and I are here to give you the best 1 hour of your time. So hurry, tell your friends, to tell your family, to tell their families to join you on this ride. The station to watch is News Central, and we are available across every platform. So stay connected, sit back, buckle up, and relax because it's what? Showtime. Today's show promises to deliver as always. We've been following the Bobrisky Nigerian Correctional Services controversy, and there are a few updates. He seems to have found himself in another risky situation. Many are watching to see how it all unfolds.
So this is a lot. Two very specific things happened yesterday, so you need to pay attention. So yesterday, it was reported that Bobrisky was arrested at the Seme border while trying to leave the country. The Nigerian Immigration Service released a statement about intercepting Bobrisky, real name Idris Okuneye, at the border. Now, also yesterday, the investigative panel set up by the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi, Tunji-Ojo, found that Bobrisky had in fact completed his jail term. One of the members of the panel, Uju Agoma, said that the panel found no evidence that Bobrisky slept outside the prison walls after she was sentenced. You're noticing there's some confusion here. We'll address that. However, what was found beyond that has been quite interesting. Bobrisky apparently enjoyed several privileges while in two different custodial centers, which include furnished single cells, humidifier, lots of visits by his family members and friends, as he desired, self-feeding, and other designated inmates to run errands for him, access to fridge and television, and possibly access to his phone. So there will now be another investigation to look into his transfer as a first-time offender and how that violated Section 174A and Section 174B of the Nigerian Correctional Service Act of 2019, as well as whether or not the privileges he enjoyed were financially motivated and based on corrupt practices by correctional officers.
The panel also noted that the peculiar case of Bobrisky and his physical look and behavior posed a threat, and the lack of laid-down rules for the treatment of such a case may have necessitated such privileges to be granted to Okuneye Idris, aka Bobrisky. Now, the panel recommended that clear guidelines need to be set up to guide operations regarding such incidents in the future, with steps taken to avoid the obvious discriminatory practices in relation to the socio-economic levels and other status of inmates. This is a lot.
It is a lot.
Hey,
I think I want to start, please, why did he run? I'm very, because initially when that story came out that, it was reported that he had been arrested at the Seme border, I was one of those thinking, why would he run? You have a case, you'll stand it, is it jail time? You've done it, why run? And I was saying, okay, maybe it's a rumor, only to see the pictures. And I'm okay, these pictures could be anything. And then to see the Immigration Service and their statement. And I'm thinking, why did he run?
There might be a lot of things that we're not aware of.
Yeah, it's looking like
you know, the peculiarity of this case is a bit dicey. You know, when it comes to people that are trans or homosexuals, you know, the law in Nigeria just states that if you're caught in the very act, you know, there's still many levels of gray and greens and colors when it comes to this particular gender, the LGBTQ community. There are many variations of it now. So there are trans people, there are binary people, there are lesbians, there are gay people, and our case law has not adequately provided for a lot of things because these are a departure from what we from the norm. So it's a lot of gray areas, which I'm sure the courts themselves know that now we might need to maybe widen the scope because as it is, they can't really hold him as an homosexual because he was not caught in the act of copulation with another man. There is no law against cross-dressing.
For me, I think it just shows that he's a very he's someone that everyone's interested in. The agencies, all the agencies are interested in what he's doing. And in what he's doing, and which also attests to the fact that when Bob goes on his live or he's posting on his story or he's posting, it means that he's actually telling you guys, listen, I'm just a person. But we are also, all this attention is also making him to be more important than he really is.
It's Nigerians that made Bobrisky popular.
That's the thing.
Yeah, they made a lot of people popular. Nigerians made a lot of people popular.
But I know when he started, and when Bobrisky started on
we
social...
were on radio.
I
will come out of my show. People will be asking me, oh, did you see what Bob was doing on Snapchat? I'm like, who is Bob?
Exactly.
What is Snapchat?
He took
I still have
that
Snapchat.
trend. He
danced
on that
Can't you remember
traction.
one of my comedy shows that I and Bobrisky had danced on stage together?
Yes.
You see, that's the thing. That's what he was known for, dancing.
People
Why would you blame me? I see him as an entertainer.
Shaky skirts. And he danced. That video is what blew Bob, because he took that traction to Instagram. So people started following him. I started following Bobrisky at 55,000 followers.
He's over, I can 55. Check, I'll let you know.
Over millions.
And now, he's in millions now. So but I'm saying that's how he built his, and this is somebody using social media to his advantage or her advantage, now
5
we don't
million.
know to bring him. Exactly.
So honestly, it's beginning to look like there is something he knows, and maybe the law enforcement knows, but they're trying to, when you're trying to catch somebody, but you need evidence. Because the fact that he even had to go to prison in the first instance, I still don't understand, because he wasn't the only person who sprayed money.
And he was a first-time offender.
And he was a first-time offender. So it still doesn't make sense to me. When they're ready, they will tell us what they're hiding. Because I don't know why he was running. I don't know why they keep trying to chase him and catch him for, I don't know, but there's something.
So I do like that this panel noted the fact that he is the first-time offender and they don't agree with the sentence he ended up with, the movement of Bobrisky in terms of getting to jail and all that, and then his movement within the Nigerian Correctional Service. And I think we also need to, as Nigerians, recognize that multiple things can be right at the same time. So yes, there might have been a violation, or there might be questions as to why a first-time offender is getting that harsh a sentence, but they can also note that once that sentence was carried out, that there were privileges he enjoyed. So just as they're saying that there was confusion as to, because even within this statement, there was a he and a she. It is terminology where our language is evolving, and Bobrisky is one of those people that's forcing an involvement of the language. I was telling somebody yesterday that I would love to see somebody do a dissertation, let me be honest, on the rise of Bobrisky and the influence on popular culture. We don't think about those kind of things, but there's an influence, whether you like him or not, that he has excluded. And I'll tell you, Bobrisky has unlocked the key of how to keep Nigerians talking about him.
Yes.
We are the reason. I follow him because I'm a journalist, but I'm not. But I only started following him last year.
I don't even know.
One of the reasons is because Nigerians have made him popular. If whatever you starve of oxygen and energy will not grow. He has been fed oxygen, he has been fed energy, and has gotten us to this point.
Honestly, but it's entertaining to watch.
You see,
Look at this picture we have on our timeline. Who wouldn't want to guess and how many people turn up like this?
This point you're making, remember at the investigative hearing in front of the House of Representatives, when I think somebody from the Correctional Services was speaking, they said that they themselves did not know what to do, that he had the body of a female, and they thought that best thing was to put him in protective custody. And I need Nigerians to understand that around the world, there's protective custody for different classes of prisoners, whether they're convicted or serving time, or even if they're awaiting trial. In the U.S., P. Diddy is in protective custody. If you're in the U.S. and you are a child abuser, child molester, they will not release you to general population, because general population will kill you. Some wife abusers are not safe in general population. They are in solitary, or they are in protective custody. They're not allowed to mix. Can we really, really imagine what would have happened if Bobrisky mixed with the general population?
And you see, that's
let's not be so.
There are people that
let's not be so myopic.
Problem with the protective custody thing, but everything should just be done by the law.
Yes,
so that
by
it
the
doesn't
book.
feel like they're doing something underhanded. Do you know, I would have even liked it if they gave him house arrest and kept him at home.
That sounds more like community service.
Yes, let him stay at home, because the charges were not grievous.
So at the end of the day, would we even blame Bobrisky? Because everybody who has the power, if you're, not any one of us, but if someone is sentenced to jail and you have the power to bribe somebody and you know that they would accept it, you will do it. So I think that we're looking at the wrong person. If at all he enjoyed those privileges, let's look into the people that allowed it to happen. The officers that were in charge, the people that they bribed. It's not the Bobrisky. So I don't know why we're trying to deflect. Let's take a look at the security.
But is it a deflection, or because the situation is new to everybody?
But Olu, do you know that this particular thing happening is still going to force our lawmakers and everybody to look at this LGBTQ thing and have the discussion.
See, they won't have the discussion. No. They won't have the discussion because our lawmakers are uncomfortable confronting issues like this. Because they don't know what to make of it, so they for sit-down look. Bob has, like we've agreed on this table, he has found a way to make social media work for him. He is controlling the narrative. Bobrisky came out and made a statement. I think he posted on his feed a post or story. And Nigerians were in the comment section. They latched onto it, saying that he has given them a TikTok sound.
Exactly. No. Bobrisky used to deliver Tani Bro. I remember how Tani Bro trended.
And I'm saying, you see them, they're supporting him. Oh, we are behind you. Nothing touch you, nothing to you, nothing.
This still comes down to this very difficult thing I keep saying. Because there are many shades to this thing now. Because if they make legislation and say, oh, if you are a man and you cannot have the appearance of a woman, sure, you know that it goes even to skid makers.
Yes.
There's so many, whether we like it or not. I'm not saying it's an immediate thing that needs to be done. But these are the kinds of things you put a committee for. To work on it. Because whether we like it or not, it's a conversation. This is where I hold them accountable all the time. They don't make plans for the future.
Because it's challenging our society.
Exactly. That's
but we need to know where to place, whether you even want to stand against it. Then that means you need to know what levels you're standing against and at what, how deep you want this stand against to be.
Regulation for kids and children under minors, it's not even done. That's not even, our lawmakers are not seeing that as important enough to attend to. Then you're talking LGBTQ.
Plus, I believe that they're highly opinionated. So anybody that can't stand them would they would propose laws to suit their taste. So the 30-man, 15-man committee is even out of the picture because everybody will come with their own opinion and religious beliefs.
They haven't called me part of the committee.
So, I want to go back to something Blessings mentioned about the bride. For emphasis, this story is really interesting. So, privileges he enjoyed include a furnished single cell, humidifier, visits by his family members and friends as he desired. I found that interesting, as desired. Self-feeding, designated inmates to run errands for him. Wow. Access to fridge and television and possibly access to his phone. I'm not sure if he posted anything during the time he was in jail, but there might have been communication with people. So the panel said there will be another investigation to look into the privileges that he enjoyed and that possibly his physical look and behavior posed a threat and a lack of laid down rules for the treatment of such a case. And that's exactly what Lolo is talking about. So it is one situation that likely will always lead to a situation in which we lay down laws. But he may be the only one to test it for the next 5 years. And next year we may have somebody else test the same situation.
There are many of them visibly,
or simply because nobody knew what to do with Bob in jail.
It's most
even if you don't know
about
those
privileges,
what to do with him. Those privileges should not exist, whether or not you knew what to do with him.
But those privileges exist even outside of Bobrisky. Are you telling me it's only Bobrisky that has those kind of privileges?
Yes, so that's what I'm saying, that we need to look into that. So let's not use the excuse of because it's Bob, we don't know what to do. How would you designate other inmates to another person? And I'm sure that even other celebrities have that. Politicians probably had that. So this is something that we should look, because now we'll be saying, oh no, this is a peculiar situation.
It is peculiar. It is peculiar. It is peculiar. But this is honestly, this is a very interesting case that, when we talk about these things and they don't take cognizance of it, are we not going to begin to, we need precedents, we need case law.
It's very rainbow color. This is the perfect day to wear it.
Well, don't say I'm pro nothing.
Okay, let's
it was not planned.
It wasn't planned.
It's okay. And I'm not saying it's okay.
Let's
move forward.
All I'm saying is that let us not begin to weep after the rain. Let us prepare before the rain comes. It's better that we have some laws, no matter how weak. At least we have something to build on. So that when these peculiarities happen, we will know how to manage it in the
time.
I know it's a lot, even abroad. There's been a lot of case law, a lot of kickbacks on using toilets with trans people, but at least it brought up the conversation so that they can look at it and know what to do whether they want to do this or what are the criteria they need to look at. Is it your body look? Because some women
is it what you call yourself?
as
Because
totally
you can't
masculine.
tell me that you call yourself, you wake up in the morning because you feel like a woman. I should allow you access to female toilets.
Exactly.
And then you should be in jail with women. The one of them that did that, he got 2 or 3 female inmates pregnant.
Exactly.
But yet you say, oh, I'm
and
a
there are
woman
some
today.
women that present so masculine that you're wondering that even putting them in the female cell can actually risk some females. So these are just great, these are technical we need to look into. Anyway, we should go on a break.
Read this, it's fine.
Okay. This is a story that has captured, national attention in more ways than one. It continues to unfold in rather, a dramatic fashion. We'll keep you updated as more developments come. We're also following a story developing here in Lagos after a parent was caught on camera assaulting a teacher at a school in Idimo. But guess who ended up in jail? The teacher. And who recorded the incident? News Central Special Correspondent on Investigative Journalism, Marshal Anthony Onoye, is on the case. And we'll get here, we'll get into it tomorrow morning. And now, after the break, we're shifting our attention to another developing story that may have gone under your radar. It involves the arrest of a detained, the arrest and detainment of a 17-year-old minor in Nigeria's capital. Rights activist Dorothy Njemanze joins us just after the break to tell us the full extent of this particular story. So don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Jasiri. Please join the conversation via our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. Now today we're discussing the developing and very disturbing case of Deborah Oshinowo, a 17-year-old girl who was detained in Suleja Prison after an incident involving a court bailiff. What began as a simple delivery of documents on Tuesday, October the 15th, 2024, has turned into a shocking abuse of justice, raising serious questions about how minors are treated within Nigeria's legal system. The deeply troubling incident also underscores multiple violations of legal procedures and human rights, especially regarding the treatment of a minor.
And surprisingly, Deborah Oshinowo was first charged with merciless assault, which has now been changed to verbal assault. Despite this inconsistency, the judge denied the minor and her legal counsel any opportunity to present their defense. The judge further ordered her detention at Suleja Prison until today, Tuesday, October 22nd. Joining us now is human rights activist and filmmaker Dorothy Njemanze. Dorothy, welcome to Jasiri, and thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Dorothy, reading these details of this case has been kind of, very heartbreaking. It seems Deborah's case has gone unnoticed by many Nigerians. Please, could you enlighten us a little about the situation? Because even I in the studio, I'm confused. What's really went on?
So about 10 p.m. on Wednesday, we got a distress call. My organization, the Dorothy Njemanze Foundation, we got a distress call. We serve survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. And the distress call was that a minor had been arrested, and as at time of arrest, there was no document that could tell the details of the arrest. A lot of things around the arrest were sketchy. And since there was no document, eventually the people who came for the arrest said, oh, the DPO only wants to interview her. And so the mom says, well, I will bring my child because she's a minor. And true to her words, the mom took her child only to get to the station and find out that indeed, Deborah was being arrested. And so they called for help far and wide. Now, remember that when children come in contact with the law, it is a masterclass session now starts for the children. And the masterclass session is on familiarizing themselves with legal provisions and legal procedures. So at that time, Deborah, her family, who didn't know much about legal provisions and procedures, started reaching out frantically for help. On getting to the place, of course, one of the things we spotlight is on what responding from the front lines is like. and the fact that it should be availability of services to sexual and gender-based violence survivors should be round the clock. And, you know, we were doing that spotlighting. And I wanted to know something when I was heading to the Kubwa Phase 4 police station where she was held. On what charges was she being held? And then since she's a minor, can she be released to us, especially because we're partners with the police? Can she be released to us, you know, and then she'll be brought back the next morning? If they will release her to her family, they can release her to an organization that works on child's rights. Unfortunately, the response we got from police was total hostility. We were there till 4 a.m. when the rain started, and we had to disperse because of the rain that touched ground. And there was nothing we could do. So Deborah slept in cell. Now, according to her account, she started feeling cold while in cell, got hostile response, you know, from the officers when she complained about cold. But a male in a nearby cell extended his sweater to her.
Okay,
now,
Dorothy, let me interrupt you there just a little bit. So let me get this straight. This started as a landlord-tenant dispute over rent.
I strongly believe so. I strongly believe
over rent increases. So after the first encounter, the bailiff returned with a plain-clothed police officer demanding the girl come to the Kubwa Phase 4 police station for a meeting with the DPO. So despite the mother's initial reluctance, she and her daughter complied. Once at the station, the 17-year-old girl was arrested without...
The mother's reluctance was strictly because there was no documents to cite, right? That was the mother's reluctance. And on the fact of the matter, I would rather, you know, keep to... But because eventually, as at yesterday, Deborah was finally arraigned this time. Now, you know, remember there was an adjournment till Tuesday, but eventually the police released her to me on bail. Okay. And yes, after a lot of outcry and everything, police released her to me.
Okay, so
the Suleja Prison rejected her because she was a minor.
Okay.
Oh.
So where does the Nigerian law stand on the arrest of minors?
Well, there are procedures. The Child Rights Act is very clear on the procedures that, you know, should be engaged, and custodial options with minors should be the last resort. And so, if it should be the last resort, I'm wondering. So, what other options did she even have? In fact, when she was in police custody, a said officer, you know, a particular officer beat her. Yes, she was beaten in police custody. And so I wonder if that is part of the procedure. Exactly. What that was supposed to, what that was supposed to achieve. Once I got to the police station, I had reached out to the gender unit of the police, and we reached the DPO, and the feedback I got was that, well, the DPO couldn't do anything about whatever matters brought Deborah to his place, because only orders from above could make him release Deborah to us. I remember all I wanted to ensure was that Deborah did not sleep in a cell. We had no idea what she was up against, amongst other things, but we were willing to take her to court the next day. So the fact that Deborah slept in a cell, something that I strongly believe was very avoidable, raises cause for concern. And then the next day she went to court. She didn't have an opportunity at fair hearing, in my opinion. Okay, and she was sent to adult prison.
Dorothy, please wait. Dorothy, please wait, because I know there's a point. We have to get to the fact that she hasn't been able to present a defense. And now you're also telling us before we started the show that she is being tried now as an adult. But I'm very curious as to the evidence presented by the bailiff and the police in this case. Because when you look at the first day, he comes to deliver papers about rent increase. The mother says she's not understanding. There was a language barrier. He apparently was not happy about that. Deborah stepped in trying to say, let me explain, let me translate. He was upset about that, even threw the paper at her, and the papers hit her in the eye. He goes away, comes back a second day with the police officer. Why would that necessitate having to come back with the police officer? Simply because she was advocating for her mom. So now this young girl has been in jail without blankets, without food, being denied access to her family. The bailiff first said it was merciless assault, then he changed his...
by the police officers when I got there that, a court bailiff alleged that the child beat the bailiff.
So that's where I'm going with this. So he first alleged merciless assault and then changed it to verbal assault. Because what is the evidence? What is the evidence being presented in Deborah's case against her?
So up till now, we don't know. We've not seen a copy of the. We don't have a copy of the charge. Counsel is still trying to get the details. It was only yesterday we took Deborah to court as instructed, and by the time we got to court, we were not listed on the court list. But suddenly we were told to come in. Our matter had already started being heard, and so we got into the court. Had to wait for counsel to come because her lawyer was in another court and everything. So the initial part of the proceeding happened without her counsel present. And yes. Eventually the counsel came in to join us. But at the end of the day, I think we're happy that we're in court now. In a way that we know that, okay, at least there's an arraignment. So hopefully, we'll get to see what the documentations are. We'll get to have access to the records of proceedings, and be able to better understand what, in fact, Deborah is up against. Because there are different versions in different ways. The amount of hostility that we're getting from different people makes me wonder what exactly the situation is. If there was some document somewhere that somebody could have seen, I would say, okay, but so far, the prosecuting counsel requested for the matter before the magistrates to be given to police for a proper investigation. And the court has ruled against that, saying that the court has taken full control of the case and is handling the case by itself. So we look forward to the different dynamics. Our concerns are, our concerns stem from the fact that, there is an increase in the number of children attempting suicide. There is an increase in the number of children self-harming. And so when children come in contact with the law, we try to remember the peculiarities of this special breed of human beings called children and how they think, and try to get them to understand what they have done, and where there is need for corrective measures to be applied, we try to ensure that they are protected while correction is being done, because the aim is not to damage the children. That is it. Yeah. And so for a second time yesterday, Deborah was said to be, was committed to remand in Suleja Prison pending when her bail conditions will be met. And this time she was arraigned alongside her mother, who has a medical condition, a kidney condition, and her aunt, So before, the focus was only on the child. Now, adults have been added to the whole thing. So,
apologies, Dorothy. Sorry, please just hold that thought. I'm also very curious about what would have happened if this happened under the radar. I mean, now the public is even aware, you are aware. I can't even imagine how worse it would have been. But I want us to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the dangers and the so many other people that have suffered this that we didn't even know about. So please just hold your thoughts. We'll go on a short break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back. You're just joining us. This is Jasiri on News Central TV. Before the break, we were discussing the issue of a 17-year-old Deborah Oshinowo who has been incarcerated, or I don't even know the word to use, who has been in police custody due to a landlord and tenant issue that has escalated into what we're discussing on the show today. We have with us Ms. Njemanze, who were discussing this particular issue, has taken it upon herself and our organization to look into this matter. Just before the break, Blessings was trying to draw our attention to the fact that if these had happened under the radar, that no public outcry was heard, everything was just happening because some people have power and they chose to exercise it, whether unjustly or not. From that premise, I did see a comment from SP Josephine Ade, the police public relations officer for the Commissioner of Police for the FCT Abuja, where she debunked the claims of arresting a minor, saying that all actions that they took were in strict compliance with legal procedures and court directives. So how would you respond to that? Because this is so easy to prove in court. The girl obviously would have birth certificate, her mother can testify. So how do you want to go on? If the police are making this public, this is their press statement by their public relations officer, asserting that they did everything by the law, and if you can totally prove that this girl is a minor, is that not enough grounds to go at them?
Well, remember that my own journey through this process was publicly documented, because I was documenting what response is like, you know, to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. And so I definitely did share what my intentions were, amongst other things. And we made it clear that it was a minor, you know, on all platforms. In fact, the officer had started out by expressing anger at the platform through which she found out about this matter. She says something something like, and this is the way you choose to bring this to my attention, and everything. Last I checked, the police has assured us that all platforms are, you know, sufficient for escalating anything that needs to get to their attention, and so police is present on all platforms. So, for what it's worth, it was very well known from the beginning that the child in detention was a minor. The mother is not a first-timer in that police station. The conditions that made the woman need to bring the child to the stations are proof that the officers who came, or whoever it was that came to effect the arrest, knew she was a minor. By the way, is the police station a dumping ground? Will people just bring anybody and keep in the police station without the police knowing the details of who is on the police station? What if something happens? The police is accountable. And so to that extent, the police was aware that in their custody was a minor. I know that a lot of emphasis has been placed on what it is said that the minor did. But whatever those things are, let's assume that an investigation is underway. There should be fair hearing. So fair hearing at all points is what we hope for. You know, the manner in which she was bundled into the cell, amongst other things, and there's a plethora of things that have happened, which has made us to now start thinking and saying, how many other minors are appearing in adult courts and being charged as adults and committed to adult facilities? How many other minors are there? You know, is there a way of tracking these things? When minors come in contact with the law, what do they have realistically that can help them better understand what is expected of them, you know, and how best to engage with the system? So these are critical questions that we are looking for answers, and we are watching and monitoring, you know, this Deborah Oshinowo case, and hoping that it provides the needed insight to what is actually happening in practice.
All right. So my
I'm disappointed with what we have seen. By the way, Suleja Prison rejected this child twice.
Yes.
On grounds that the child, yesterday when she was arraigned again and committed to prison, you know, the Suleja Custodial Center, pending when the bail conditions are perfected, you know, Suleja Prison rejected her yet again. And so, again, I say, if there are several institutions in the justice system, and the people are all aware of the Child Rights Act, but one institution recognizing it more than the other, do we have a problem?
What does that even mean? I mean, what does that even mean? It shows that there's no unification. People are just taking it and interpreting this thing as they see it. What concerns me, for me, is usually how we are viewed internationally. Let's go with international standards. Look at the detention of a minor under such harsh conditions. Isn't this a clear violation of her rights? I mean, imagine a court ordering the arrest of a child over verbal assault, and then you deny her family visitation and the basic necessities. I need us to understand, denying her food and blanket, that alone breaches both domestic and international human rights standards. So for me, I'm thinking, what are the implications of this on Nigeria's commitment to protecting the rights of minors and the vulnerable?
I happened to be at an event a few days ago where, the Minister of Women's Affairs was with the Mandate Secretary FCT, Mandate Secretary on Women's Affairs, and there seemed to be strong commitment of Nigeria in protecting children against violence. Now, the way children navigate the justice space, the access to justice space also contributes very largely to how children can be protected from violence. Because in certain cases, the issues at stake will be the duplicity of the roles of police, where in which case we see that vigilante is the one that handles policing duties. Some places it is the forest guards that handle policing duty roles, depending on the community and what is most effective in the place. In some places it is civil defense. In some places there is NAPTIP. In some places there is the unhealthy rivalry between institutions that come to play. That's just a plethora of issues. But whatever it is, the recognition of the peculiarities of children is very important. Children are the future of tomorrow. If we start out by breaking children, because there's no child who is on a straight path, and sometimes, because one thing I kept on hearing from the mother of the child and also from the child is, so are we supposed to just give up and accept that we did what we did not do? Now, whether they did or they did not do, there should be there should be a system in place that provides opportunity for them to go and say whether they did or they did not do. But in this case, from what we have seen, the first opportunity the child would have, besides the opportunity to take a plea yesterday, because the child took a plea yesterday. So the first opportunity the child would have, and the child took a plea in adult court yesterday in open court. So
Mr. Jemazie, I have to hold you there because I am just pondering over this issue that we're discussing that is so disheartening and is a clear abuse of the legal system. Yeah. I'm a trained lawyer, and what is troubling me the most is that a judge actually refusing to allow the girl have access to a lawyer and present a reasonable defense before them. This raises a serious concern about the fairness.
Permitted it. Eventually it was permitted.
Okay. Yes, it was. But even the initial denial, even the initial denial is something that we should question, because there must be reasons why there was an initial denial in the first place. Because this means that justice will be, the process what kind of is being exploited and manipulated for something, as if they just want to get to the judgment part without going through the process of allowing the girl have a proper day in court, have a proper preparation and access to be able to defend herself. So when the court, what does the court say about the judiciary being the last hope of the common man? Because it seems that this needs to be escalated even to the Judicial Council, because there are laid down rules, there are laws to these things. If a minor is in court, there are laws that guide how a minor should be allowed to present a case and how a judge should adjudicate on this matter. So if this is happening, and imagine if there is no media outcry, what is going to really happen?
Well, like I said, there's a plethora of issues that are coming up, including access to services. And the former issues you were speaking about were for those who are in between male and female, because I heard people talking very largely about the trans people. Now, they're the intersex persons that do not have any defined inclination. If they commit crimes, where are they kept? What is the state of our juvenile custodial centers? What is the availability of juvenile custodial centers? In the economy of today, where we are struggling to get access to food, what we have spent on transportation costs alone, especially on the night we were told to come and take her, it's crazy. What are the facilities available for response services? There are just so many questions that have come up. And there are different stakeholders in the access to justice system. that have answers to give. You know, the concerns have to be addressed holistically. You are a lawyer, and so you have picked the part that has, you know,
pricked her.
That has given you concern the most. That's giving you concern the most. I am on the front lines. In the middle of late in the night, a police station says no, this person is a minor. You know, her bail has been granted. We didn't even know the details about how those things came about. All we knew was the mom was told to sign something, and the mom says, I cannot read, though. Let me not go and sign something that is going to put me in trouble. So we now have to start looking for a means of going all the way through. Now, it's not an easy thing. Responding to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence is not easy. We've had so many children say, but Auntie Dorothy, why is it that when it became my turn, you people did not have money? You people were not able to support me. Is the problem with me? Am I the reason why people are raping me? Am I the reason why things are going wrong? What did I do wrong to God? And they're asking me questions that are difficult to answer. So now I'm highlighting the fact that we need to rethink reforms along the lines of the holistic services that are rendered to support children. If we need, especially to access justice, sometimes access to justice does not need for the children to get to court. Sometimes there's mediation that is needed. There's alternative dispute resolution mechanisms needed. There's all sorts. What is the state of our family courts?
Yes.
In what way are our family courts functional? What do they need to survive? If this government really means well for us, then we should be saying a whole lot more around this. To what extent is the Child Rights Act upheld? The Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, how does it affect children, and to what extent is it upheld? You know, the issues around fairer force, the amount of force that was exerted by the police on that child, is it fair? So when we have a fairer force advocacy, it also, you know, affects children. We talked about NSAS and how the youth were affected. Remember that this child is transiting into a young adult very soon.
Yeah.
And so with these grudges, how is she going to help us to establish that the police is your friend thing in practice? So healthy children in healthy systems is all we're advocating for. We're not singling out a particular stakeholder. Every stakeholder different stakeholders could be complicit in different ways, irrespective of who it is. I want to particularly commend the Nigerian Custodial Center for upholding the fact that the child was a minor. Even the papers to that effect were given, and they twice they rejected. In fact, information reaching me right now is that the current police station, that is that the girl was sent to for detention, has also cried out to say the child is a minor, and this is not a facility for detaining minors. So these are the kind of conversations that we want to see happening more and more.
So Dorothy, I'm so sorry, very quickly, we hear that Debbie's supposed to be in court today. What are we hoping will happen looking at the charge, or has happened looking at the charges against her?
So before Debbie was supposed to be in court today, as at yesterday, an arraignment was done. At the time the first time she appeared before the magistrate, there was no arraignment. She was there as somebody who had committed contempt of court, some kind of contempt. So now an arraignment has been done, and it's before the same magistrate where there was some contempt. We are still before the same magistrate, and so
how do you get justice when you are being adjudicated upon by somebody that was initially wronged? Is there no bias? That's already a premise for bias. Shouldn't they move it to another court?
The judge should recuse themselves. I'm curious about what they have said. People do. It happens in Nigeria. They do it when it pays them. But I'm curious as to contempt of court for what, Dorothy? Was there a reason?
For the violation, for the reported assault against, verbal assault against the bailiff.
Because the bailiff is an official of the court.
Yes, in court, the bailiff had said that it wasn't physical assault, that it was verbal assault. But now the new charges, initiated against the child by the bailiff now includes the physical assaults that he said did not happen before.
So what about these, sorry, Dorothy, what about these inconsistencies in the bailiff's statements of evidence or whatever it may be? Where's the evidence? Where's the pictures? At the end of the day, it's just looking like somebody who has some small amount of power, who's intent on trampling on somebody else's rights because they know they work with people who will do this for them.
And it's like nobody can challenge it.
Well, for what it's worth, I'm as helpless as you are. I'm hoping that the lawyers, look to legal issues. I look to the holistic reforms at the end of the day, because critical questions are being asked across board. Even in cases of temporary detention of minors, what is available? Yes. What is humane that exists, that works? What is possible? So all the sustainable development goals, we're making efforts, but there's still a lot that needs to be achieved with regards, achieving the sustainable development goals. And to that effect, I am hoping that every stakeholder remembers that the value of the child is critical to the economy of the
Yes.
The value of the nation is critical to our economy, and actually, comes together and ensures that the best standard possible is available to children. I have not taken a side now to say whether she is right or she is wrong or something. I know what she alleges is her point, but I also look forward to an opportunity to her getting an opportunity to make her case in whatever the court. And again, I'm also aware that children should not be, tried in open courts. And so there's so many things that come to play. Yeah. So what of the Deborahs that we do not know about?
Exactly.
What is happening?
So Dorothy, I apologize.
Adults.
I'm so sorry for interrupting you, Dorothy. It's because of time, but we're going to follow this closely. But I want you to go back to what you were saying. So now they're trying her as an adult in open court. The charges have been updated or upgraded. Her mother has now been added to the charge sheet, as well as her aunt. What is her mother, who suffers from kidney issues? We saw a video of her earlier. That was her rolling on the floor. If we can get that back, in the police station when she was hearing the news. What is her mother being charged with? What is her aunt being charged with? What happens next, really? Is she out on bail with you, or is she back in jail? Let's just have some clarity on where this case stands right now.
We're trying to perfect the bail conditions for these people. They're to bring 2 shorties each. We've pleaded for leniency in so many ways. And so at this moment, we're still in the process of perfecting the bail conditions of these people, and also possibly obtaining records so that we even know where to start from. Because in this moment, we don't know where to start from. Everybody is confused, but the first thing everybody wants is safety first. Yeah. But one thing is sure, the law. Nobody wants to be against the law. Let's have some degree of clarity on what is happening. Because so many times we kept hearing things like, oh, these people are very connected. The people behind this are very connected. There's somebody who is an advisor to EFCC that is involved. I don't care who is involved and who is not involved. I think that the law should serve everybody. That's why I don't get involved with the nitty-gritties. If there's an allegation made by somebody, there should be a procedure through which, the allegation is channeled and the parties who have anything to answer come to, come to place. If a child is involved in the, as one of the parties, then the child should be engaged as a child. The child doesn't become an adult because the child has offended you. That is simply our point. Okay. The child should be engaged as a child.
All right, Dorothy, this is a case we're going to follow closely. I think you're also working with Hope Behind Bars, and we've had the executive director on the show, so we'll reach out and also see what the legal side of this conversation is as well. Thank you so much for the fight. Thank you for everything you do. And we will keep up to date with Deborah's case as well. Thank you so much, Dorothy.
Thank you very much.
All right.
You see the problem that we have in the country where we said, who do you think you know who I am?
Oh, do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am? insofar as we have that mentality, we cannot grow.
And
This is a
unfortunately,
pure
it carries weight, Catherine. It
abuse.
carries weight.
This is an obvious
of
abuse
power.
of power with someone there that says,
Just
this
because
matter,
you say,
I will show
want to
you
show
people.
you, bam.
She's 17.
The soul.
What are you
17, look
showing
at her
a
mother rolling on the
17-year-old
floor.
Who was trying to advocate for her mother.
Now they'll be looking for additional money to pay lawyers.
There's
to
so many,
perfect her bail.
there's so
reaching out
many
to her
reasons
behind
to make
bars.
someone say you're leaving one particular country to move to another country. There's some things for some people that are non-negotiable. If you cannot protect me as a citizen of that country, and I go to a place where I'm even taken half even seriously, I will decide to stay there. Because it doesn't make any sense. Time is fast spent, guys, and it, listen, we have to land this plane, and time is not on our side. We really have to go. The real pilots are in our ears telling us we have to get out of here, and we have to. I told you not to miss this episode. Now you see why. Tomorrow's episode, we are going to be peeling back the pages as we're going to rip off the bandage, rip it. But for now, we're going. Thank you for being a part of Jasiri for today. Join us tomorrow again. Same time, we're at News Central.
She's ready.
Look at it. Bye.